you touched on a few non-food triggers. Can you talk a little bit more about what can trigger histamine reaction other than foods?
Sure. So, stress, as I indicated, and that's not just anger or crying or anxiety or any of that. It can also be excitement. I remember, like, Christmas is my favorite time of year. And I remember the first few years, I was always sick during the Christmas holidays. And it wasn't a cold, it was my histamine. Because I was so excited, that drove my histamine. So is one. Exercise and exertion. Any exercise or exertion that goes above 100 beats per minute in your with your heart there, you will start releasing histamine and inflammatory chemicals. And I still can't really do too much. High intensity exercise, high impact, like running, aerobics, things like that, more difficult with us, tends to trigger more histamine. So walking, treadmill, going at your right pace, yoga, Pilates, stretching, things like that. Maybe some light dancing, but dancing still triggers me. You can do that kind of thing, but it is difficult with that. Any exertion, I remember in the first year of my histamine, I was batting a balloon back. I was sitting in a chair, batting a balloon back and forth with my niece and nephew. And I started to get hot and red and feeling really off. And I didn't know what was going on at the time. But that's just a little bit of exertion or lifting or whatever kind of thing. What else? Colds, flus, viruses. I mean, COVID, is a big one nowadays. And, COVID can trigger our mast cells, and, because mast cells are designed to protect our body from bacteria, toxins, viruses, anything like that. So you will feel your mast cells go into defense mode when you're sick. And I don't understand why they ask, like, why am I feeling worse with a cold? Well, the mast cells are in charge of defending you. So then you're going to feel that more because your mast cells are more active. The sun, that's another one. I can't go out till 4 p.m. To sit outside. If I sit outside before that, I can guarantee insomnia that night. So I go out at 4 p.m. usually to sit outside. It has to have some kind of breeze. I have tried to sit out where it's comfortably warm, and I still got insomnia. So I'm very, very sensitive to that. Heat and cold. So some people that are living in very hot temperatures or in very cold temperatures can trigger mast cell activation. Scents, fluorescent lights, electromagnetic energy. Well, now with the 5G and everything, it's probably going to get things worse. We can't avoid electromagnetic energy anyways, because I was actually reading that even wires in the walls, that run our house give you electromagnetic energy. So I'm like, well, can't really avoid any of that. So that one's a big one. Sex is another one. Nobody knows that sex does it, but we're dealing with sex, friction, pressure, sweating, orgasm, the whole thing that will trigger histamine release. Again, I pre-medicate, and I do not have sex at night because I can guarantee insomnia. So I always make sure it's before that. I'm just trying to think. There's so many there, and these are just some. There's a lot out there that can trigger your histamine. Oh, massage. That's another one. I had a couple of massages in a row, and they always tell you that massage actually helps your lymph nodes move toxins. And they actually said that's actually false. What it does is it damages your muscles, I guess, like when you're doing deep tissue massage. So kind of like when you're working out, you're ripping your muscles or whatever kind of thing. And what they're trying to do is get this blood circulation going so that your toxins are pushed out. And it's very effective with that. But it also is designed to trigger mast cells into releasing T cells, which cause the inflammation. And I did 2 in a row within like 6 days of each other, which was a real big mistake because I have felt like I've had this wicked flu for a week now. And it's like, wow, like that's the one thing. So be careful with massages. Things like saunas. Saunas can trigger it as well, although I've heard is it infrared saunas were supposed to be better for us, but I don't know if I would tolerate it. Seasonal changes. I actually know when fall's coming and winter's coming and things like that. I, feel it in my bones type thing. What else? Medications, makeup, toiletries, toothpaste, shampoos, soaps, creams, any of those can trigger histamine. Household chemicals, preservatives, dyes. When I get my hair dyed, no, I don't dye my hair. I'm naturally young. No, but when you get your hair dyed, red and yellow dyes are actually the worst ones for histamine. And guess what? The first 10 years of my histamine issues, I dyed my hair red. And I had to pre-medicate. I had to probably take antihistamines before bed for probably about 3 or 4 days after because I was still flaring. I basically went by the concept, no pain, no gain, because I wanted that the hair dye wasn't ready for the gray. But just do realize that you will be affected by hair dyes and makeup. As I said, as soon as I put makeup on, I feel the heat and the flaring. So I haven't worn makeup for 10 years. Year-round allergies, seasonal allergies, hormones. Lots of people talk about, I get really feeling really off just before my period or during my period or whatever. And again, hormonal shifts will affect histamine levels. Barometric pressure also does. I get very sick during low pressure systems. So there's all kinds of things that can affect us. So it's not weird, as far as like if you feel like, I don't know why I'm reacting to that. It's not weird. It's just the mast cells are oversensitive.